enter the Computerverse.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of our second season. First and foremost, I just want to apologize for the scary, bad presentation on my end on the last episode. As I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of growing pains as the transition to video kind of comes to fruition. I just didn't realize that my camera was going to cut half of my face off. So now we're trying a different method. I'm really hoping this is better, and if somehow, for some reason, the people on YouTube get pissed off because you can only see me from here down, well, at least I look attractive and suave. That being said, again, I'm inviting you to enter the Computerverse as we welcome another esteemed guest. He's released on pretty much every major EDM label that you can imagine. Mad Decent, Confession, Armada, Insomniac, and more. Welcome, Duckworthsound.
Thank you for having me, my man. How you doing? You good?
I'm living the dream. I've got a humongous mug of coffee from Disney's Animal Kingdom.
That is huge, man. Jeez.
I'm already like 4 cups of coffee into the day as well. So
nice.
I can't exist without it, to be honest. The older I used to hate coffee when I was younger, and now it's just a thing for me.
Oh, dude, I'm exactly the same. Like every morning, black coffee, iced, no sugar. I used to hate black coffee. I used to have it with milk, but it's just got to the point now. It's like 4 cups a day, straight black, iced, good to go. Like liquid crack gets me through the day. Like
That's
it's so
man.
funny, man.
Yeah, I gotta have the liquid crack. And it's funny how every conversation on this podcast now is just gonna be about hard drugs. Don't get the wrong idea, people at home. We want you to take care of yourself. No, yeah. So when I'm jumping into a session as well, it's like, dude, nothing motivates me more now than drinking a fat cup of coffee. And I just like,
dude, that buzz.
Yeah, I stay focused. I'm like, dude, let's wrap this up. I have other people that I used to smoke a lot of weed. Like, if you guys listen to the first season of Enter the Computerverse, I was pretty fucking high a lot of the time. And so, I feel like that causes a lot of the tangents, and sometimes that's great. But now it's like if I'm working in a session with someone else or doing a collab, just drinking a cup of coffee helps me kind of get the energy focused. And I'm like, I want to get this down. Let's finish it. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Really get the focus in. I feel you on that. Yeah, 100%.
I've almost thought about, like, it's a great investment to just have a coffee machine, like one of those little pots of coffee in your studio.
Yeah,
so you never have to leave.
Well, like just one of them little filter machines, just simple, just have it going.
Do you have that?
No, I wish I did. I'm with you on that one. I wish I did have one. It'd be so handy if I just had it set up on the side.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to be running around for my coffees all day. But
so what does your studio kind of look like? I see your green screen back there.
My studio, we're basically in it. I'm still in a bedroom studio, so I'm still I've still just got a desk set up in my room. Just simple MIDI keyboard, KRKs, the simple shebang. Just does the job, gets it in. We do have like studios over in the UK that are like kind of rentable studios. So you book like a 6-hour session in there. So sometimes I go for there if I really need to get like a really like clean mix and master done. I like to go to like a pirate studio. They're called a pirate studio. Right. They're really, really good.
So you are streaming from the United Kingdom. It is pretty late. There's a time difference. So where exactly are you located?
So I am located just outside of London, where the big airport is near in the UK called Heathrow. I live just by there. So I'm about 40 minutes from London, from all Buckingham Palace and what everyone thinks of London, the old Queen's Place and Big Ben and all that stuff. I'm about 45 minutes out from the proper inner city, so yeah.
Did you grow up there as well?
Yeah, I've lived just outside of London my whole life, just in a little town called Stanwell. Yeah, I've lived there my whole life.
What is the distance from Stanwell? Stanwell?
Yeah, Stanwell, yeah.
What is the distance from there to London, like, actually? Is if you were driving or whatever?
If you were driving, I don't actually know miles-wise. I just know it's probably about 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Out of town. It's not bad at all, no, especially because we've got trains everywhere. So, like, it's like a hour's ride on the train, the underground. So it's nice and easy.
Public transportation, like proper public transportation, is such a blessing. I used to live in New York, and I really miss the subway system over there, just being able to like have that. It's only, it's $2 or whatever to just get wherever you need to go. But
yeah, it's just handy, isn't it? It's just there.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, driving is also good. It's personal, right? You have your own bubble, but
Yeah, you've got your own little thing.
It's not the same.
For me, like for me, I don't really need to drive because like London's on the doorstep. If we're going out anywhere, I don't usually need to drive. It's just easier to get the train or that way. Say we're going out or it's a night out club or something. You can drink. You don't have to drive. It's safer. So like,
absolutely,
for us, like, the public transportation around London it's so good. It's so handy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's any city with major public transportation is great. Like I live in Los Angeles, and we're getting there. I mean, nice. I don't know what's going on right now. I've heard that Elon Musk is building these crazy fucking hyper tunnels underneath the city, so you can get from one area to another really quickly. I don't know. That might be a pipe dream.
I've heard this. I like that actually. That was a good one.
Oh yeah,
I've heard that, bro.
Full of them.
Musk's making moves, man. Like he's the guy.
Hashtag Musk making moves, dude.
Trust me.
It's the truth. Yeah, man. Elon Musk is he's a madman. I think that the dude's just really good at PR, though. I did watch a video of him and Jay Leno driving the Cybertruck through one of the tunnels.
Yeah,
which was...
I've seen that video. It's fucking crazy. Like,
that's cool that you've also seen it. I spend way too much time on YouTube, so that kind of you probably spend a bit of time on YouTube yourself. If you've watched that video.
Dude, I'm exactly the same. It's just like, you know, when like you go onto YouTube to watch them and then you're like falling down a rabbit hole and you're watching, like, you end up in some weird fucking twisted place of YouTube for 2 hours. Like,
I love it.
We've all been there, bro.
That's one of my favorite things. I'm like, I'm watching YouTube. I'll end up watching some video like that, or like some bullshit, stupid fucking Conan O'Brien video, and then I end up watching, you know, like, what are the four darkest Reddit secrets?
Dude, trust me. It's just so like that, isn't it? Like, it's the same for me, bro. I'll go on to watch like highlights of like the football or like some news or something that's happened, and I'll look at the clock and it'll have been like 2 hours and I'm watching some dude like speedrun Super Mario or some shit.
Oh my god, those are my favorites.
Here, bro? Like, how did I get here?
I love that, and I love watching like them play the really hard games. Like there's this guy on YouTube. You know, it's funny because I wanted to talk about this on the last episode. We had Gutex on the last episode, who is a YouTuber in the gaming world, and I wanted to talk about this guy Asmongold. Have you seen this dude?
No, I haven't actually.
He watches. I guess he does speedrunning himself or something. I don't know. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Post in the comments. But this dude is funny because he's amazed by any speedrunner. Like, he watches these Dark Souls speedrunners, and he's just like, how did he do that? Like, the he's so animated, and he's built a following around his ridiculous, like, animations of just being amazed by these other fucking speedrunners. And I think that, you know, it's a talent in and of itself, but I wish I could spend more time playing video games, man. I really do. I like them.
Oh, dude, I'm the same. It's a curse, but it's also, like, it's a curse because it's definitely the thing that, like, probably is crunching a bit of productivity that now and again probably play a bit too much.
It's the worst.
But at the same time, it's leisure, it's a hobby, it gets your mind off it. It's good to have that balance, isn't it? Like, I'm a big fan of like the old school like Pokemon games.
Oh yeah.
Like some new school games as well, like on the PS4 and that, but I love like running through like an old Pokemon game. Oh dude, the nostalgia, it's so good.
Like, yeah, and they still hold they hold their value so well too.
Dude,
like,
I know, it's so good.
Did you ever play Pokemon Snap? Did you know that game?
Oh no, dude, I never had a GameCube. That's the one thing that kind of like broke me as a kid. I was always PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, like Game Boy Color and shit like that, but I never had a GameCube.
Well, it was N64.
Oh, it was N64, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but so the point there, and I'll piggyback on what you just said too. So the point there is they're coming out with a new Pokemon Snap, which was kind of exciting. I thought Nintendo. What they do is, like, Nintendo doesn't have that many properties, right? But everything they do, they just do really well. So I don't know. I've got to throw my hat out to Nintendo for keeping it consistent, because consistency and quality is key no matter what. But PlayStation they're coming out with a new Crash Bandicoot. Have you seen that?
I saw. That's the nostalgia value thing. Like, for me, when they were like, oh, Crash Team Racing, they're remastering it, I was like, the amount of hours I put into that as a child, probably just playing my brother or just like racing the computers, it was just constant. It was Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, and them two both remastered. The kid in me's come back out, bro. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great motivator to just waste even more time and get nothing done. Yes.
Spending the money just to get a HD remaster of a game. I'm like, yep.
Well,
here's my money, take it.
The new Crash Bandicoot is not a remaster though. It's a fucking new game. Like that you can play as Cortex. You have like options to play as different characters. I've watched a couple of playthroughs. Yeah, it's gonna be dope. I mean, if anything, I will drop the money on that, especially given that you don't have to buy the new console for it. But enough shilling on PlayStation. Do you think that you're going to be moving once this current situation passes, or is London just the place for you? Or right outside of London?
I've always said to myself, from a really young age, I've actually really, always wanted to move out to America. Not gonna lie, the last few years out in the States haven't been great. It seems like there's a few situations that, have maybe turned me off a little bit.
Me too!
But at the same time, I think there's so many people that say, I've known so many people in the industry that, if you come out to LA, you'll make so many connections, you could make so many moves. And I do feel like back when I first had that idea, I was like, my music was probably better suited for America. And I just thought maybe that would be the best move for me. Lately, I've been, especially with my music actual style, I've been keeping my genres very, varied and my style. I've tried to bring in elements from, everywhere I've been and every culture and loads of different countries and styles. So I've noticed now, maybe I'm thinking staying in the UK, but I'd never leave it off the table to probably come out to the States. I would love to do it.
I mean, I think it's at least worth it for you to come and... Have you visited LA?
Not yet, no. I did plan to come out to LA for a month this year, but so many things have happened to not make that reality. It sucks, but once this is all over, it's definitely on the cards. It's going to be right up there, just to come out LA for a month or two, just solid, get some work in, work with some new people, work on music, meet people, just see what it's like, see if I enjoy it or not.
Yeah, I think that you'll find that very beneficial, and you'll really figure out if it's a place for you or not. And I mean, dude, if you're a true entertainer and you're on the up and up, and I think that you're doing a lot of stuff, you're definitely in a position to come out to LA and hit it really hard and get those co-writes. And I think that a lot of people also come out to LA and they're like, I'm just gonna see what happens, and then they get really pissed off when it doesn't work out. I've talked about this before though, but there's also a mass exodus of people leaving Los Angeles right now. And
I've noticed that. Yeah, I have noticed. I've noticed a few guys in the scene have been dipping from LA, kind of going back to their roots, going back home. So
a question about that: were those people already objectively successful? That's my question.
See, I would say so, but I guess everyone has a different idea on if they were successful. Yeah. I guess the person themselves probably has an idea if they think they've done enough or they think they've still got more to do. Personally, the people I've seen that have moved back out of LA, I would say they've been successful.
Right.
I would say they've definitely been successful, but I think the thing is they were successful before they moved to LA.
Okay, well, sure. Got it. I mean, you moved out to LA successful and then you leave successful, and I mean, how nice must that be? But I think objectively speaking, if you're someone who comes out to Los Angeles to make the connections, then it's not like a lot of those people are really going to leave. I mean, these people are leaving because they can afford to. Like Joe Rogan talked about, well, I got to get out of LA. There's too many people living there. And it's like, dude, you just got paid $100 million for your podcast.
You can move wherever you want.
Yeah, right? You could move to the middle of fucking Tennessee or, Utah or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to get so shaded for this. Yeah, people are like, Utah's great.
He could go into the middle of fuck nowhere, but the thing is, he's made his platform now. He's made his move. He's made the money. He's got the bag. He's got the following. He's got the attention. People will still come to him if he moves location. No one will give a shit. It'll be fine.
I think that there's still massive benefit to being in a central hub, though. Of course, London is also a hub for music. You guys have some major record labels in the dance music scene and even beyond out there. So it's not like you're short of potential whatsoever. It would just be a different environment.
100%. I think the UK, I think hands down is the most multicultural society in the world. I think we're I'd say smack bang in the middle of the world. We've got America to the west of us, we've got Europe to the east. So traveling's really good from London, and like I said, that's kind of why we're so multicultural and stuff. But in terms of the scene here as well, it's on the up. I'd say out in the UK. there's a lot more shows that were happening before this pandemic. Hopefully it stays that way once everything comes back. Hopefully we see more shows, more genres, more styles come through. So it's there's loads of positives to being in London, 100%.
Have shows kind of opened up a little bit more out there, or is it still just completely locked down?
We are. The UK fucked it.
Really?
Like, the UK have not done this pandemic well. We were like, the thing was, Italy were the worst in Europe. We've smashed them out of the park. We are way worse than them. Like, it was only like last week where it was mandatory to wear masks in like shopping centres.
Oh wow!
So like our government have fucked it, to be honest.
Well,
like,
at least you're not as bad as we are, though. I mean, there's still people here who are, at least it's mandatory there to wear masks, right? Out here, people are like, well, my rights. I'll wear my mask if I want to. It's like, dude, you're gonna.
You know how infuriating it is. I watched a video on it. These two kids were giving out free masks on like Huntington Pier or something. Huntington Beach or the pier.
You spend as much time on YouTube as I do, and I love it.
Dude, 100%. I was watching that, and I was just sitting there thinking, it's just like it's at this point, it's just natural selection. Like if you're a fucking idiot. Like if you seriously think it, like if you genuinely think like it's a muzzle, they're trying to mute us, it's this, it's that. It's like the thing I never forget. Yeah, it's when people say, "Oh, I don't like it. I struggle to breathe in it." You're not gonna like a giant tube down your throat, are you? When you're in hospital with it, like, dude,
it's a fucking piece of cloth. How difficult is it to breathe? How difficult is it to breathe with a piece of cloth over your face? I'm sorry for anyone listening. If you also feel that way, I'm not trying to be political. It's not political. It's just facts.
Oh no, it's not even political. If you genuinely believe this, like, I just don't have respect for you. I think you're a fucking idiot, because even if you believe this, you should do it out of respect for other people. You should do it out of respect for saving the elderly, saving the vulnerable, saving the people who desperately need it.
That is 100%.
If you still purely think this way, you are just a fucking moron. Like, and that goes for not just people in the States, anyone in the world, because there are people in the UK that think it. People in the UK think it too, and I'm just like, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
well, yeah, where do they get their information? If you feel that way, don't reproduce. That's all I can say.
It's just one of them things. God. It's scary to think people are that stupid. It's very scary to think people are that stupid.
I mean, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there. Whether you agree with it or not, elderly people who are predisposed to getting sick, these are the people that you need to look out for. And I think I talked about it on the last episode. I don't want to fucking hammer on about this forever. But that being said, it's important and it's still going on. So y'all, be respectful. Fucking look out for each other. That's one of the scariest things about this whole virus, is how people have only looked out for themselves and thought about their boredom and like, but me, what about my mental health, or what about what? It's like, dude, people are going to die and people are on ventilators. So,
Yeah, it's very true. It's like, don't get me wrong, I know mental health is a very serious thing, but at the same time, it's like, it's a scary thing. Don't get me wrong, the lockdown over here has been hard for people, when like, that's when you really need your friends and, people in the scene, like friends, family. You need to check up on them, make sure they're okay, make sure they're doing all right. They can get lonely, but at the same time, the people, it's like, to check up on someone's good, but to just put a fucking mask on, it's going to save so many more fucking lives if this keeps going on. Like, it's crazy.
I 100% agree. And I think that, you're right. Yeah, I didn't mean to discredit mental health in any way. I think mental health is so important, but the way that you just attacked this basically is like, you should reach out to your friends. It's important to have a community. It's important to have things to work on. And like, there's definitely a productive way to be attacking this entire situation, where I've seen people pick up new hobbies, people that are cooking more, people that are, watching YouTube productively and like learning how to do new, like, dude, make the best out of it, as terrible as this situation is, and reach out to your friends, anyone that you are homies with, like, definitely reach out to them. But don't go out to a fucking party with like 150, 200 people on a boat and no one's, or 600 people on a boat. Your EDM just posted this article a few days back, and this is at this point going to be a couple weeks back, but like, they posted this article about a boat in New York that went out. There were like 600 people on it, no one wearing masks. So you guys are creating an issue here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, it is what it is. You know, just look out. That's all. Just tell you guys. Just look
Tiny
out.
little thing. Just a
You know,
tiny
we'll
little
see what
thing.
happens in a couple of weeks. So by the time this podcast is out, we'll see what happens. All right. So that being said, let's jump into our first actual segment. If you watched our previous episode, you'll know what it is. Let's get to know Duckworthsound. If anyone wants to produce our get to know jingle, it would be massively appreciated. Again, I'm very fucking lazy, so I've got plenty of audio things to work on my own, and I just don't really want to make the get to know jingle. So if any of our wonderful listeners at home want to make a get to know our guest, I maybe just did it right now. Just edit that, you know, and yeah, and we'll use it in future episodes. So our first question: do you have any pets?
No, currently I do not.
Not a pet person.
I am a pet person. I've had three. I've had 3 dogs.
Oh.
And yeah, just last we had 2 dogs. Sadly, both passed away. So right now, it's just the attachment, man. I don't want to get reattached to another dog. You know, it's a tough one. I love them to bits, but just right now, can't be getting another dog. Just
what kind of dogs did you have?
I had a German Shepherd when I was or an Alsatian. I had one of them when I was like really younger. That kind of passed away when I was about 7. And then we had a boxer and a dog called a King Charles Spaniel. We had two of them, and they were lovely. They were absolute ace. But you know, it's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
They come and go, sadly. So the memories are there. They were good, but you know, right now, just don't want to get attached to another pet right now.
It's so bittersweet, man. Every dog is a good dog, though. But yeah,
100%.
you know, hopefully one day in the future you'll adopt a pet. Maybe, and you know, it'll be very serendipitous. I'm sure. Like you'll be like, oh, it's just a connection. You know, it's an undeniable connection. I didn't plan on having pets myself. My girlfriend has a dog and a cat, and when we moved in together, the dog and the cat came with, and now it's like they're fucking family. So it's, you know,
fair enough. Yeah,
but I feel that, dude. I feel like it's like you have that lingering thought, that morbid thought in the back of your mind, like, dude, when that shit happens, I'm gonna die.
Dude, it's one of them things. It's, you know, it's one of them things. It's like it's like films. Like I'm not an emotional person, really. I won't cry at films. But however, Marley and Me, I will bawl my eyes out.
You can't watch those, dude. You can't watch those movies.
When it comes to like any pets passing away in films and shit,
you
straight
can't,
to the heart.
Those movies are made by fucking bastards, dude. They're made.
No, they're wiping their tears away with so much money they've made from them. But
I mean, it's fucked. They're made to attack you. They're like attacking your emotions. You know, if you go into what, like, okay, there was this movie called The Art of Racing in the Rain or something like that came out pretty recently, and I didn't watch it, and you know, but I had seen the trailer, and it's got a dog who's like voicing his story in the trailer, and they're talking about, dude, you just know the dog's gonna fucking die. Like, you just know, dude. That's like a major plot point of any movie. When the dog is a major character, the dog's gonna fucking die.
It's fucking horrible.
How about like
straight to the heart, man? That's the weak spot.
Give us a trilogy of a dog that doesn't die, and they just have a great relationship, and we just get to love the interactions with the dog, like Hollywood.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Just take that.
Stop attacking my fucking emotions, because we love all of us love pets. Like, who does? If you don't love a dog or a cat, or animals are great, dude. Come on. Animals are just great.
I'm a big animal guy, honestly.
Is there any artist that nobody would think that you jam out to? What's the most left field thing that is in your rotation from time to time?
In my rotation,
yeah,
right now, I'm trying to think. Actually, I'm quite an open guy. Like I do like a lot of different types of music, but I'd say jamming wise, guys like you know, I don't mind Scotty Sire. Scotty Sire, he's I think he's a YouTuber as well, but he makes some good music. He's a part of you know, like David Dobrik and the whole Vlog Squad and all these kids out. He's one of them guys. I like some of his music. I think it's quite catchy.
So is he just a straight up musician?
Yeah, he's a musician and a YouTuber. He's a talented guy. He's got a few good jams. I like him.
Do you what is that guy's name? Mark Rebillet?
He's amazing.
I'm totally fucking his name up. Right? Yeah,
He is
Rebier.
fucking incredible.
Yeah, he's that dude's built an entire, and you know, it's, dude, Mark, if you ever listen to this, I'm so sorry for murdering your name, but everyone does it. And I've even seen the YouTube videos where you explain, like, you were on Sway and you explained your name, but I murdered it, dude. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that guy, he's fucking incredible. Like, he takes what Reggie Watts does and puts his own spin on it. And like, there's a video of him playing at and everyone's seen this. There's a video of him playing at some bar. It's like a bar restaurant or whatever. And he's just like, there's a song called, it's like Girls Night. Let me in, I'm trying to fuck.
Yeah, I've seen that video. Everyone's sitting down at the bar, isn't it? And he's just going off. It's so good.
Everything's improvised. And it's all
incredible.
with that. It's the Boss RC505 looper. And the way that, what I think about that dude, man, is that it's just a testament to knowing your gear. Like, you could have all the gear in the world. I've got fucking synthesizers and shit.
It's about what you know to, like, it's about what you know, how you use it. Like, you could use the simplest stuff, but you could have all the tech in the world, but it's just like, if you are a master at one thing, like, you got it, and that's what he does. He nailed it, bro.
Yeah,
so good.
What DAW do you use? This is not.
I use FL20.
Okay, I think
so I've always been FL full and through, yeah.
And you use a lot of the FL stock, you know, plugs, all that's like Harmor.
Yeah, I use a lot of the stock plugs. I use, you know, like I actually use like very simple plugs, like Serum. Used to use Massive. Haven't been using Massive that much lately. Silent. Really the stock basic stuff that a lot of guys use. Yeah.
I think it's funny because Serum and Massive have their own sounds, right? But Silent is just a synth. It's like the most versatile.
Yeah. It's just very straightforward, but it's one of them things. I'm not very like knowledgeable when it comes to a lot of that stuff, because I've had no like musical background, like no theory. I never learned how to play an instrument or anything. I kind of just taught myself and learned through YouTube tutorials and shit. So like for me, like, it's weird because I just play around in the plugins until I find a sound I like. And like, it's a blessing and a curse, because I wish I was so knowledgeable. I think I would work faster. But at the same time, I just play around until I'm like, that sounds cool. We can do that. And then I'll take that and I'll be like, okay, that works. We can use that with that. And that's literally how I build my track still.
It's a journey of discovery. And we're going to touch on that a little bit in a second. But first, what is your ideal breakfast?
My ideal breakfast, it will be bacon and pancakes. I'm a sucker for bacon and pancakes.
Is that okay? I watched this entire YouTube video recently about breakfast, and apparently pancakes are a very American breakfast, right?
They are. It's again, it's one of them things. It's a kind of credit to like what I always wanted to come out to America when I was younger. Whenever I was out there, I kind of just loved it. I loved the cut. I loved a lot of stuff about America, and I remember when I was a kid being on holiday, like IHOP. I was like, my God, this is the best breakfast I've ever had.
Oh my God. IHOP is terrible.
I was like 9. So like, to me, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, we never had shit like this in the UK. So I was just kind of like, wow.
Well, yeah, flame me if you guys want. Some people love IHOP. It's such a divisive topic because some people are IHOP, some people are like Denny's, if you've ever been there. I feel like it's all very run-of-the-mill chain breakfast. But yeah, in my opinion, if you have you ever been to Waffle House?
No, I've heard about like Waffle House though.
Hands down, the most ballin' fucking bomb diner style American breakfast.
I'll have to go next time I'm out in the States.
Yeah, if you're in the South, they're usually in Texas. Hopefully everything is, you know, let's keep our fingers crossed and let's hope that everyone's not dead or this virus fucking gets solved in the next, you know, half year and there's a vaccine. And, you know, I mean, let's just really hope. And, you know, maybe we'll be back by Southwest. You come out to Texas and we'll fucking go to Waffle House together, bro.
Dude, 100%. 100%.
But I highly recommend also that you come out to LA because, you know, if you come out here, we'll go eat somewhere and we'll have a grand old time. We've kind of touched on this, but what is your favorite senseless time-wasting activity?
I would say, yeah, just YouTube gaming.
Same.
Big sucker for that.
Man.
Big sucker for that.
So what games are you super into right now then?
So right now, running back through an old Pokemon game. I've just downloaded this new game on the PlayStation. Shit, what's it called? It just dropped to like yesterday, and it's I think it's called Fall Guys or something. I don't really know what it's about. It just seems to be like a senseless multiplayer game where everyone just like is trying to like run an assault course. It just looks wacky as shit, and I think it's just going to be like so fucking joke. So I can't wait to fucking try that out. Like that, I'm playing Last of Us. I'm about to play the new Last of Us game. That looks sick as hell. But yeah, man, quite a few games going. I just like playing around with a few old games, a few new games. Yeah.
Awesome. What is the best workout, in your opinion, to get your mind right? Do you work out at all?
Yeah, I do work out. So it depends if you're going to. It depends if you've like got a gym at hand or if you're just doing it like on your own. Like when I'm traveling, I'll just work out like in my hotel room and I'll just do a lot of body weight stuff. So I just think like if you as long as you're hitting like a full body workout and trying to like hit as many points as you can of your body, just simple exercises. Like for me, when I was on tour, it would just be like 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, 100 press-ups. That would do the trick. That way, it's like it's not too long, very easy to do. You can just do it around the hotel room, stuff like that. Yeah, I think that can really just get yourself in a good mindset. It definitely gets me in like the right mindset where I just space out for a bit, sweat it out, and I come back clear. I come back feeling good, feeling positive. I think that's a really good one.
So from a creative perspective, how important do you think that physical fitness is? Is that like something that you really try to incorporate, you know?
For me, yeah, the last like 2 years I've been going to I've started going to the gym more and more. Just for me, just keeping myself in shape and keeping myself healthy. I think it's another thing to step out of the studio, kind of like gaming. I think it's just good to stay healthy in general. I think everyone should do it. Some people may not like going to gyms for many reasons. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe they just don't feel like doing it, which is understandable. But I think just anything to get you out the studio for a little bit and just keeping yourself balanced, just something to take your mind off it, get yourself relaxed, just get yourself happy in a good space. If it's playing video games, reading a book, being healthy, going out, just anything that can like keep you in balance and keep you in check, I think is a massive, massive key.
I agree. Rick Rubin, one of the greatest producers of our time, has said that, you know, when he's producing a vocalist or trying to get a great vocal out of somebody, and it's just not happening because the vibe isn't there, he'll suggest that they go and do something that they wouldn't normally do, or go take a walk on the beach, or just get out of the environment, come back in an hour, come back in 2 hours, whatever, and then just nail it then, because sometimes your mind is a little bit too in the box, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
So I agree. Since we just covered the bases, let's move into the meat of the show. Fair warning for anyone listening, we're going to start with all of the general questions for anyone that's firsthand familiar with your work. Well, you'll probably know the answers to most of these. So, of course, every artist has a story surrounding how they were pulled into their branch of the music scene. You said that you started producing music at around 16 years old. What was your initial introduction into this world as an audience member?
So, for me, when I was younger, just always just had like Clubland CDs lying around the house, like proper old school Euro, like club style music. That was like my first ever introduction, like guys like Scooter and like Bass Hunter. That was like kind of what was popping, and I kind of liked it. I was like, this is cool.
I still listen to Bass Hunter. Bass Hunter is great.
Bass Hunter, the old style Bass Hunter was just it really did pop off. I think as I just started like listening to it more and more, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I started listening to more guys. That's when like I came across like Laid Back Luke, Afrojack, Swedish House Mafia, and that was when like I think it really just like intensified for me. I was like, this is amazing. Like this is so cool. I was like, wow, I wish I could like DJ. And that's kind of like the turning point where I was like maybe 14, 15. I brought myself a controller, and then I was like, right, now what? I had no clue, no idea what I was doing. So I like had the old school like virtual DJ and a controller, and it was like, right, what do we do? So first thing, as always, straight on YouTube, how do I DJ? How to use virtual DJ? And I just kind of learned, picked everything up from YouTube tutorials. And then
did you watch a lot of Ella Skins? Do you know who that is?
No, I don't. I can't actually remember like the precise ones. It was I needed to learn everything. Like I was like, what the fuck is beat matching? I was like, that now it makes sense. That's how you do that. But I just remember like doing that and thinking it's fun. But I was like, so this is all cool and that, but like, how do these guys like make the music then? Because they can't make it through the DJ and stuff. So how do they like produce music? And then literally again, I was like looking up shit like how do people produce music, and it was like, oh, it's like through a software and stuff like this. So I was like, okay, we should try and learn this then. We should try and give it a go. Downloaded FL, straight back on YouTube. How to make music, I think the first thing I searched was like how to make Dirty Dutch like Afrojack on FL, and just fell down the rabbit hole instantly. Just started learning everything, like how to put, like how to set up a beat, how to like create a synth. Yeah, just absolutely fell down the rabbit hole from there. Probably when I was about 15.
You know, the funny thing is, things are so much more accessible even now than they were then, and it's funny to watch the timeline of this accessibility because it becomes much more streamlined even still. I thought that it wasn't even possible at that point. Like, I'm also someone who is essentially, for all intents and purposes, self-taught. You know, I watched an immense amount of YouTube videos starting out, and that's why I mentioned Elliskins, because when I started DJing, I started with virtual DJ as well, you know, and I went from there. I had a friend who had CDJs and went over and started practicing, and I was fucking terrible, like, you know, initially, and it's just like learning through experience and then watching these videos and, oh, how do you do this? How do you do these other tricks? And guys like Laid Back Luke, who are just fucking insane DJs. Like, Luke is awesome when it comes to, like, you know, an unconventional way of thinking when he's mixing, you know?
Yeah, he's honestly a genius. Like, just from watching like videos on him to like when I really started producing like my first really shit attempts of like Dirty Dutch, the first thing I was on, and this is proper old school, the Laid Back Luke forums, which was like you'd send it in and then like the guys who were like admins and Luke themselves would like review it and give people tips and give people feedback. Like that was a proper like first ever like way I got into it. It was all through that. It was crazy.
You're actually not the only producer who, you know, relied on those Laid Back Luke forums. A lot of other successful producers spent quite a bit of time in there, and it was a thing. I mean, you know, a lot of people owe Luke a lot of their success, and the fact that he's still around and doing things, and you know, he still manages to remain relevant, and you know, the guy is super into fitness too. Like, I remember at WMC a couple years back, he was like teaching fucking kickboxing and yoga classes or some shit.
I was at that class.
Nice.
I was a few years ago. He done it at the W Hotel, I think. He done it on a rooftop. May have had one too many drinks the night before, so being hungover at 10 a.m. learning how to do kung fu was not the one, but it was a fun experience nonetheless. It was jokes.
No, yeah, that's an awesome experience, to be honest. Especially the fact that you're a little bit hungover makes it even more memorable, I think. It's kind of unbelievable that you started out and after 6 months you really found your way as far as what you wanted to pursue with your sound and how to execute it. So what were some of the factors in you training your ear to discover what really worked and was on the precipice as far as what's current and forward thinking simultaneously?
So I think for me, definitely at the start, I definitely didn't have the ear for it, like 110%. I think like I was just honestly just put it like thinking stuff was good, and it was just it was really trash. It sucked. I just think I got to a point where I kind of really realized how much I enjoyed it and how much I wanted to commit to it, but I didn't know kind of necessarily what style of music I wanted to make at the time. I was kind of like dubstep was on the rise. Dirty Dutch was very much so beginning to die out. Progressive house was still a thing. There was so many more genres coming through, and it was just more of a thing where I was kind of like, well, I don't have a full idea yet, but maybe let's just try this, try that. Maybe when something clicks, I'll know. And it really just got to the point where I just kept trying to push myself and test myself at different styles, figuring out what was fun to make, what sounded the best, and just kind of went from there. And I think that's kind of what I still do now, in the sense of I'm not really stuck down to one genre. I just kind of figure out what I'm enjoying making, what is kind of hot right now, seeing what have I been putting out? Do I want to try and test myself to make this or that? Or if I have an idea in my head, I just kind of I just kind of wing it and run with it.
That's interesting. To counter that, I feel like you must have had some kind of idea though, because I've got this information from an interview that you did in 2012, and you must have been like, yeah, I mean, you were talking about, you know, having jumped in after 6 months of just DJing, and you know, you really got into the production side, and it took about 6 months for you to kind of find your sound, and that means that you've been doing this for about a decade, you know. So
Yeah.
So I mean, same here.
It's quite scary to think.
No, it's not. It's awesome. It's just
I don't know, man. For me, it's scary. Like, the thing is, like, I got into it at a very young age, and 20. If I like, the thing is, one of them things. If you looked back at your past self and told myself anything, I would definitely tell 2012 self, you have not found your sound yet. Like, it clicked, and you started enjoying making Dirty Dutch and stuff like that. But I definitely didn't find my sound. I think I just found something I enjoyed that was helping me learn the production more. And I think it just got to the point, I think it was around, so 2012 is when it kind of started ticking. But I'd say by 2013 and then 2014 and 2015, I was making completely different sounds again.
True.
And it was just, I think it's just one of them things. It's just kept, my idea and my thought process had kept changing. I'd kept learning so much more and more. And I think year on year, especially from around that time, I'd probably just been looking back and being like, good God, I was shit last year compared to now. And then the year later, I was like, good God, I was shit then compared to now. I still think that today. Like, I still go through that. And it's just crazy to think it's been that long already. Like, it's going like 8-9 years now where I've been working on music and producing stuff and like shit like that. It's just crazy, man. I must be going grey soon, bro. I feel old.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm okay. So you know, I'm 29, and I've been doing this for about a decade, maybe a little bit more. So I definitely feel that, but I think you know, just to capitalize on what you said, it is a constant journey of discovering. We all feel that way. If you're a producer and I mean, you have to look at your stuff as like, what I was making was shit, you know, last year. Because if you're not looking at it that way, and you're looking at it constantly as, this is great, you know, constantly sucking your own dick,
yeah,
then
it wouldn't be
you're not progressing.
Would it? Like, the thing is, I'm not ashamed by anything I make. I think one thing I find a bit weird is, you know, when people completely clear out their discography and shit like that. Like, no, I want to laugh. I want to look back at 2012 me and laugh at a song that got put out on an electro network, or song that's been ripped off my SoundCloud. Someone else uploaded it and it was from 2013, some shit big room project. Like, I want to look back at that and laugh. Like, I don't think you should ever look back at stuff like that and think, oh, well, that doesn't look good. It's like, no, everyone was growing and evolving. Like, it's absolutely fine. It's
a different part of your journey, and I think that having that, you know, documented and being able to look back at that and be like, yeah, this is true. Like, it's not synthetic. It's not, you know what I mean? Then I think that there's definitely value to
real.
that.
It's real. It makes people realize. I think the one thing that too many people do, and like too many artists now, is like, you'll have someone break out onto the scene and their first song will be signed to a label and their entire back catalogue's probably been wiped or deleted or taken off. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that's a clean look or that, but the way I look at it, just doesn't feel organic. It doesn't make people, say, other producers that want to listen to you, they probably want to look and they probably might be stuck at one point thinking they're not going anywhere. They need to look back at like the guys they look up to and other artists and realize that everyone was in that position once. Everyone was the small guy. Everyone was the guy that made shit, trash, couldn't make music, or put out a project thinking it was their first one that was sick and it was just piss poor.
I 100% agree. I mean, I think that part of this is like, I understand the marketing perspective, and we owe a lot of the toxicity in the music business to this kind of mentality, because people think that there is such a thing as overnight success. But the fact is, and I've talked about this before, if you've listened to the first season of the podcast, you know there's no such thing as overnight success. Anyone that has a modicum of success has probably put in their 10,000 hours. They've been doing it for 10 years. You know, that's how you have to have amassed a knowledge, like a substantial knowledge of the music business to actually get anywhere, or just have an amazing team around you. And I feel like the former is much more valuable, because then you're not completely reliant on these other people for your success. Or like, what happens if you lose these people? You know, then you're just fucked. And it's like, dude, having the power in your hand and being able to do this kind of stuff on your own, that should keep you from being discouraged in creating music and continuing, even when you think that what you're making isn't great. Because it's like, dude, everything is a baby step. So all of those things are just so immensely valuable in the journey. It's all about the journey, not the destination.
It's all 100%. It's all about the journey. And I think, you know, the journey's definitely gotten harder. It's gotten harder, but it's also gotten better. You know, there's so much more on hand now that younger guys are coming through, absolutely kicking my ass. Like, I know there's 14, 15-year-olds now that are making absolute bangers that I couldn't even dream of making, and credit to them. But it's also like, it's progressing so much now that it's also become it feels more like a business. When it started out like 10 years ago, I felt like it was a lot more fun and easy, but now everything feels like a business. Everything feels like you've got to have the management or like the certain thing. And it feels like, you know, SoundCloud isn't what it once was and stuff like that. I feel like it's all become a bit monopolized, it sucks a little bit, but at the same time, it's one of them things like as time goes on, it's just about adapting. It's about keeping up with it. And it's just about, at the end of the day, just enjoying what you're doing still. And, you know, that breakthrough will happen. That eventually you've just got to put your hours in and trust the process. And you've got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I agree. And trust the process and enjoy the journey are some sage words. I think that part of it is, you know, these days we have I hate saying these days, but at this point in time, we have the advent of Splice, and a lot of these sounds are so readily available. And, you know, I use Splice. I think that there's a lot of benefit to working smart and not hard when it comes to production. Like, getting your ideas on paper and simultaneously making sure that the sound is the right sound and everything is cohesive is so unspeakably valuable. But it also does kind of take away from the experience for a lot of people, because some people will just, I mean, some newer artists especially will just use loops right out of the box. And more power to you if you make a banging track and, you know, it gets signed and released. But that will, I feel like that will project you onto the scene without a lot of the knowledge that you need to make you successful overall and give you longevity. If you're looking at this as from a career standpoint. So, and this is like, it's so pedantic, and it's so like, anyone who's listening, who's just a fucking pedestrian fan, who's like, yeah, well, you know, I like this artist, you know, that's great, but like, also understand the process, you know, like, there's a lot of pain that goes into it, and I think that's really valuable. Like, you have to pay your dues in pounds of flesh, and like,
the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, that's what they say, is selling your soul to the business, right? Like, that's what selling your soul to the business really is like really fucking bleeding for your artwork, and like, you know, having those moments where it's not, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of value to not having success right away. And obviously, you know, like, you've got persistence. Like, you've stuck with this over the course of 10 years. I'm sure there were moments for you where you were like, fuck, man. You know, like, when you're thinking about it.
Literally, 100%. Like, every few months, something might piss me off a bit. Like, it does happen. Like, I think it was maybe back in May, just around my birthday time, I had this big realization, like a big breakdown, where I kind of just thought, I'm turning 24. I know this sounds so silly, but like, for me, it was like, I'm turning 24. Oh, so-and-so was doing this at this age, or like, you know, I've been about this long. I feel like I'm going nowhere. I feel like I've had like bigger songs, and none of my songs are doing what some of my previous songs are doing. I feel like I may be spiraling down. I'm dropping off. And I had a really big breakdown. I really just thought like giving it all up and just quitting, and just thinking like, I'm a failure. You know, I'm not making money, and it does suck. It really does suck. But at the same time, like, you've got to expect them things to happen. The downs come with the ups and the downs. You've got to take them hand in hand. For every big achievement you do, you probably are going to have some horrible down moment as well. It's about just picking yourself up, persevering. You know, it happens, and you've got to learn from everything as well. There's one thing I think I've definitely done is, throughout the years, I've definitely learned so much about myself and like the business, and like what I think I need to do, or where I want to be. And I think like I say, it all comes with the time that you put in.
I mean, that's a lot of self-discovery in that journey and the adventure of making music, and it's not just an overnight thing. Looking at it from the perspective of I need to do this to make money, or I need to get my first big release, or this has to happen. Like, goals have to be so realistic, and you have to be so objective with yourself, and you have to not like be abusive towards yourself for not hitting those goals. Because think about it, like, so I've been there too. I mean, every artist, I think it's uniform, and my girlfriend helps manage artists, and like some of the people that she works with, they're like, there's so much depression and so much like mental illness that's fostered in the music scene, simply because you see people that are making things happen at, earlier than you. But like, dude, it's not a race. That's like one of the major things to remember. And like, everyone has a different fucking journey. So like, you never know what, you never know what the guiding factor was in someone's success. Like, maybe someone it's their uncle that runs the record label, and you don't know because they don't publicize that. Like,
exactly.
So just fucking do you, and that is what it is. Which track in your repertoire would you consider to have been the most momentous in terms of pushing the needle for you career-wise thus far?
I think it's definitely got to be Bringing the Drums, probably for me. It's a track that I've done with 4B on his EP on Mad Descent. And for me, that just, I think it really just it drew so many more eyes on me. I think it made me realize, like, oh shit, I've kind of had like it's done quite well as a song. It was like, I think it's definitely like the most streamed song I've had and shit like that. And it just made me realize, like, right, I look up to 4B. I'm very inspired by him, and I just think I looked at that and I was like, right, I've got to set myself, like, I've got to think like that. I've got to think, you know what, I will like achieve and reach what he's done. Not necessarily in a sense like we were just saying, like, everyone's path is different. I didn't want to go down his path, but I think it's just one of the things where I've gone, yeah, like this for me made me realize I really do want this. This is like a big moment for me. I've enjoyed this. This has been such a good feeling. We've got to make this happen again. I've got to like achieve this. I've got to keep this now, keep the momentum going, and like push myself further now, like, from this.
I think that's not a negative way to go about it, though, because your journey and someone else's journey just by definition can't be the same. They can't. Yeah. It's like your reality is different.
Everyone will have different opportunities. It will take them different amounts of time. Like we just said, there are so many factors to it. But I think looking up to someone, other artists in the scene, most definitely, there's nothing like wrong in that, because you've got to look at that and you've got to think, right, how did they do it? And what things can you take from that? Like, sure, the hustle, like the hustle that 4B had is like unbelievable, and the respect I have for that guy is unreal. And I just look at that and I think, I need to hustle like that. I need to grind like that. I need to figure out what I want to do, and I want to figure out how to get there. I've got to do it. Like, I've got to push myself to that.
So how did that collaboration come to fruition?
So this happened a long time ago. There's a guy who lives down in Florida called Ian. Big love to him. He basically found us online and was like, oh, like, your music's like sounding cool. I was like, oh, thank you. And he started adding me into Facebook groups with other producers, and it was a lot more of the US guys. So that was me kind of like breaking through and meeting a lot of like US artists and people. And I got added into a Facebook group for a lot of the guys who lived out in New Jersey and New York. That 4B was kind of like one of the main guys in there. And that's kind of when I learned about like Jersey Club and all the stuff that was happening there. And I was like, wow, this shit's really cool. Like, this is actually a really interesting and cool sound. I've noticed myself kind of moving more towards that Jersey Club sound, and especially what 4B was doing. He kind of blended Jersey Club, that kick pattern, kind of with a more familiar EDM sound. And I think that's what, like, he just skyrocketed from that. And I kind of looked at that and I was like, wow, that's cool. So I just started making more sounds that were a little bit similar to that. And I just had this idea for a song using like the kind of hard trap screech that was kind of like really doing the rounds at the time. And I like kind of created like the pattern for the drop. And I sent it over to him and I was like, yo, what do you think of this? And he was like, that's cool. He's like, I think we can work on that. I think it was definitely lacking a lot of points. And he's
flavor,
taking it. yeah, it's like it was lacking 100%. Like back then, my breaks like sucked. It must have been so bad, but we worked on it, absolutely polished it up, and he was like, I think this will go on the EP. And yeah, that was like how it happened. It all just kind of ran through and kept going, and it was really dope just to see where it went. And he was like, it's going on mad decent. I was like, holy shit, like that was like crazy for me. I was like, didn't expect it. It's mad.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about like the takeaway from that story is putting in the legwork, though, you know, because I've had a modicum of success in kind of the same arena with some collaborations that I've got going on right now, and I will say that none of that would have been possible without me putting in most of the legwork to begin with and then reaching out, because I think that a lot of guys are like, you have to think about how busy a lot of artists above you are. And you have to submit an idea that's like really worthwhile for someone to even want to work on. Like they have to be like, yeah, you know, I fuck with this. You know, it's not, rather than just being like, hey, do you want to collab? Which a lot of newer artists will do. A lot of newer artists, and I mean, I'm sure you get these messages. I get these messages where people will just reach out like willy nilly, and they'll be like, hey, I like your music. Let's collab. And it's like, dude, you know, you're more inclined.
The infamous line, isn't it? The collab, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Collab, bro, you know, but you're more inclined to respond to that if someone sends you a great fucking idea.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, I think, again, like, you can't mock it, but to be a smaller artist, you want to work with these guys. So, you know, you got to shoot your ideas. You've got to shoot your shot. I think there's definitely a right way of doing it. Definitely just there are a few guys that are just like, oh, collab, bro, like, work on this with me. And it's just kind of like, probably you could go around it asking probably a bit better. But I think, yeah, like to shoot your shot and like, right, if you've got a good idea, it's very much, it's such a good feeling to have someone that like you look up to be like, oh, I fuck with this, let's work with it. Like for me, it happened the year before. I worked on, I had an idea for a track. It was a bit more big room sounding. I worked with a guy called DOD. He was, back then, he was doing a lot of like big room and electro house. And for me, I sent it over to him as a demo, and he was like, oh, this is a cool idea. He was like, I think it needs a bit of work though. He was like, would you be down to send it over to me? And I was just like, holy shit, like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have a collab with this guy. Like this is crazy. And yeah, for me, like I was really young. I must have been probably, I think must have been 16, 17, 18, around that time, like 16 to 18 when I probably first sent the idea. Probably the same like the year after when I sent an idea to 4B. Like for me, just at that point, I was like, holy shit, like that's crazy. Like I've actually done something that's like at a point which is good enough for them to want to work on it. I was like, that's really cool.
It speaks to kind of what you were saying about working with 4B and how that was eye-opening for you. And you said, you know, this is something I want to do. And you were kind of drawing from his hustle. You know, you have to hustle yourself. And like you said, take your shot, but also be very objective, because you don't want to just be shooting someone like to anyone who's listening. You don't want to just be shooting a track that you just shit out after doing this for 6 months, and like be really objective and like know like, hey, is this quality, you know, because people will also, first impressions are everything. So if you're sending someone something that's just complete dog shit right off the bat, they're going to remember that. So I mean, but there's also like, people can be forgiving too. So I'm not saying, you know, there's no right way or wrong way to do things in music, but just be objective with yourself. Do you have a manager currently?
Currently not right now. I've got a friend of mine who is kind of like helping me out with a lot of stuff day to day. He's also the guy that like does my photography, video. So he's kind of like helps around with a lot of it. But the last like year or so, probably year and a half, it's kind of been him helping me, but kind of been managing myself, just kind of getting my head into the space. I have had previous managers.
That's what I was going to ask as well.
Yeah. I used to be managed by a guy called Jake. He's a really good friend. Shout out to him because he's actually killing it right now. He was really good. He very much so kind of took me, and I was very much so like a kid at the time. I felt like I probably didn't have the knowledge, and I feel like he did, and I feel like that's something I really like appreciated, that he kind of helped me out and made me realize so much, and definitely get my head kind of into a better space of learning and like the more business side of it, and kind of like what he done for me as a manager was so good. Like
what was your what would you say your overall takeaway was from that kind of relationship where you had management? You know, obviously you guys are not working together anymore, but you still have a good relationship. I mean, a lot of artists, let me just follow that question up by just saying, like, you know, a lot of artists think that it's the end all be all to get a manager, and I think that really if you sign with a manager or start working with someone like that, then you still have to put in most of the legwork. Just from my
Yeah,
experience, no one's gonna
dude,
hold your hand.
100%, and that's kind of one of the things I really appreciate from the start is that we had that reality that it was like he's not gonna make all my dreams come true. However, he sees something in me, the potential, and that, you know, I've got to respect that, but I've still got to put in the work. I've got to work hard now to make this happen. But for what he can also bring to the table is very helpful, and I think there was definitely a point in time where I felt like when I didn't have management again, I was like, oh God, I kind of thought, is it the be all and end all? Do it like, oh, I need a manager, like, or else I'm going to start probably flopping or falling back. But I think as more time's gone on, I've realized it isn't the be all and end all. If you have that in yourself to manage yourself and you get yourself into the right headspace, and like learn that, you know, there's no need, there isn't like a need for you to need a manager straight away. I think having a manager is about having someone who like understands your goals, and that they need to be there to kind of go, you know, I'd say not keep you on track, because just necessarily, maybe what's the best way of putting it, like they need to understand you, like you need to understand each other like through and through. I think it's about just being there to just like,
It's being there to like garden that, like water that garden and cultivate whatever it is that you're trying to put together.
You know, that if they bring something to the table that helps you and supports you, but also at the same time it motivates you, drives you, like gets the best out of you and helps you get to the best that you want to be. I think that's what a manager should be, someone who like really understands you through and through and like helps get the best out of you.
And that is such, I mean, there, you know, because here's the thing, all right, like for any artist, you have to really be patient with that, I think, because you're not just going to find that off the bat. Sometimes people are just solely business. And I mean, if you can find someone who has an adequate, substantial knowledge of the business side, but can also kind of life coach your creative side, then you're doing really well. You know, and as long as their intentions are in the right place as well. I mean, because some people are just, you know, you're going to find scummy people. That's why it's important to read books, read everything you need, or all you need to know about the music business by Donald Passman, if I can recommend anything to anyone out there. Which social media do you hate the most?
I really, really hate Instagram. Instagram for me is it's the same as to be honest, I would say all if I could, but I think we all need to be, it's like this sudden thing that we all have to be social media stars now. We have to be influencers on top of musicians. It's just not good enough to just be a good musician, because you need to have your brand on point. And you know, that's kind of like the very younger me, pissed off me, of being like, oh, brand this, brand that's your business. But I know how important that is. It is still frustrating to me that like things like Instagram just feel so much like oh, it matters so much how many followers you've got, and you know, it's something that people are interested in. How many followers do you have on there, and stuff like just having to post, and you've got to keep up with the content. You've got to keep posting things. Like, I think COVID has been bad, but I think one thing it has definitely done has opened up a massive like hole in, you know, it's so many people now who now don't have content because they don't have shows, don't have stocks and stocks of pictures of themselves. Like you realize now that like it's all just a bit of an act. Now everyone's just locked up indoors. I think like Instagram now is like a little window into someone's life of like what like they want you to see, and I think that's the thing with it. Like you don't see everything, so like now that there's nothing to see, you realize that it's just that Instagram's just all a bit of an act. Everything you see on there is all just bits and bobs of what you want to see.
Right. It's all like dopamine trigger points in your brain, and people. Someone explained this to me some time ago, that people go to Instagram for different reasons, like, and it's to see people doing awesome shit. You know, most of the time that's what it is. So if you're looking at a producer, you want to see them rolling around in a fucking Rolls Royce or in a Lamborghini with hot girls in a fucking dope city that you don't live in, with fucking money, which is usually fake. It's usually prop money. You know, like in a dope fucking studio that you could never afford. So, with that in mind, we were talking about the coronavirus and how that's affected everything. It's been reported that Live Nation's revenue is down 98% due to COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, what do you think lays in the future of the music industry, given that the most lucrative form of income for most artists has been nixed as a byproduct of the pandemic, and simply doing DJ streams is kind of unsustainable?
Very true. I think I've enjoyed doing the streams, but with things, it's just not the same. It's not a cash flow like live shows were. Honestly, I'm not too sure yet. I've heard some people say, I think it'll be the rise of the underground again, the small shows, the small clubs. It will be the rise of like the new wave of artists, because all the clubs, all the promoters won't have a lot of money to spend on big guys, so they'll spend little money on new guys who will take the tiniest paychecks. That's one side of it. I think the other side that is already started happening is, a lot of maybe the comeback of like the illegal rave scene, which is it's cool in a sense because that was the old school, the illegal warehouse raves. What isn't cool is that people are doing it and no one's wearing fucking masks, and it's just dangerous.
Yeah,
very, very silly.
Yeah. It's a
catch-22
catch-22
one, though. I think it's something that none of us have, no one has ever had to be approached with anything like this. So I'm just very interested to see what happens. But what the best thing could happen, I think, hopefully when the time is right and the clubs can reopen, hopefully, you see the wave of people that want to go back to shows. So hopefully the first shows back will be crazy. They'll be full. They'll be packed out. Now, I'm hoping it does bring a lot of new opportunities for new guys, for the smaller guys. Maybe they can't afford these big guys now because they've had such a loss in revenue. Maybe they are on a budget. Maybe you end up they book the small guys. They give the small guys the opportunities because they're taking small fees. Maybe that will happen. I'm excited to see what happens. So I'm going to take it with a very positive mindset and just go, right, when the time is right to bounce back, how are we going to bounce back, and what can I do for myself personally, like, to bounce back, to make the most out of a shit situation.
Sure. I mean, this is what I think is going to happen. I think that they're going to pay the big guys the money because they'll take the money out. We've already seen some of the lineups for some of the future festivals that have been announced for the next year, and it's a lot of the people that were, pretty much booked for this last year. So they're going to either be cutting their fees or still asking for a fairly, something that's that you can get. Everyone has to eat on the team, right? So like they're going to be making money, but I think when it comes to smaller artists and people that are on the come up, and even artists on any scale, really, right now is the time that we're going to be looking at, like I talked with Gutex on the last episode about streaming, and I'm not trying to devalue that. Just the fact that DJ streams alone, you need to just be diversifying at the risk of being really redundant. I'm saying it again, doing different kinds of streams, but also having something like a Patreon. If people are listening to your music and you are amassing a certain amount of streams, and you are listening to or you're on labels or doing shit, then you should have some kind of way of interacting and like we mentioned content previously, providing people with exclusive content. I mean, and if they'll sink their teeth into it, then that's great. And I mean, then you can make a living off of your artwork. But the crazy thing about COVID is it's forced a lot of people to kind of get a job or kind of do, look into other means of sustaining themselves. So, of course, I don't know what the answer is going to be either. I think that that's what everyone's struggling with. And if someone was to come up with that, like the, again, end all be all answer, then wow, I mean, you're going to make a fucking $1 billion. But I think that we're going to be coming back, and I really, maybe there will be two different scenes. I like that idea, maybe that there's going to be more of the underground scene, and they will be, supporting the more up and coming artists and hopefully getting them paid. I mean, hasn't that scene always existed though? I mean, like here in Los Angeles.
I think there's always been an underground scene. There's always been, the next big thing that's lurking in the kind of undercard that then busts through. Maybe it's a different genre of music or it's an artist. I think there always has been that. I think I've just noticed it more now because of the actual illegal kind of shows popping up and stuff. I think you kind of realize maybe that will be coming back. I
mean, it's a romantic idea. I came up in that scene too. Like, I went to my first rave in like 2006, and I went to my fair share of underground raves, which I really enjoyed. And I saw fucking Cascade play in a room of like 100 people. Like this was, and same with like Steve Aoki. These were like tiny fucking clubs, and this was before, it's in 2012 when it's funny because you were saying, you were looking up how to make Dirty Dutch like Afrojack, and that was the advent of EDM as like this is a thing. We're gonna have these fucking huge festivals, and previously, I mean, you're from the UK, so there were massives before the festivals, and that's what they were. That's what they were called, and which is for all intents and purposes the same fucking thing. It was like there was Sensation White in Holland, I guess, and big trance festivals and Tiesto and fucking Bass Hunter and all these cats would play those shows, and it's just it's funny to see where we're going now because we're once again in an unprecedented time. Spotify head Daniel Ek was recently pitchforked by online music critic, among others, Anthony Fantano, for stating it's not enough for artists to release albums every 3 to 4 years, and he wants more artists to pump out content. And, in the dance music arena, singles and EP are basically standard. Generally speaking, though, how do you feel about that statement?
It's fucking depressing, isn't it? It's I definitely see what you're saying. It's a tough one. Again, there's two ways of looking at it. Content is key. I've been told by an old manager, I was like, it's about consistency. Getting a song out every 4 to 6 weeks, it keeps you on the radar. It keeps you consistent. It makes people see that you're always dropping music. And I guess the idea behind that then is obviously he's saying that because you keep dropping tracks, them tracks keep amassing streams. So then you constantly have something new out that is going to start getting streams instead of like a song that, it will plateau out and get less streams. I think he's just saying that so, you'll get consistently paid then if you keep releasing new music, which is understandable. However, you then look at the other point of, well, you say that, but is that the case? Because someone like Skrillex hasn't really been putting out heaps of music, has he? I know he's just recently dropped a new song with I think it was a few guys, wasn't it? Was it the one with Ty Dolla $ign?
I believe so, yeah. But I think that was he was a collaborator on the record. It wasn't.
Yeah, so he's been he puts out very few songs. I think in the last year he's put out probably 3 songs. I think it was, or 4. He put out the 2-track EP. He's put out a song with Boys Noise. He puts out very little music to and far between. He's still probably one of the biggest pulls in the game.
Dance music is anomalous. I think that Skrillex is definitely an anomaly as well. But when you look at an artist that does exclusively albums, and it's like almost like you're like, Daniel, who are you talking to? Because from Anthony's perspective, like I watched the video, and if you're not familiar with it, go watch the Needle Drop. He does a lot of great reviews. I don't agree with all of them, but he's an interesting music critic online, and a lot of people.
He's a great guy.
A lot of people do look at him. They do look to him for music that they will listen to, and he supports a lot of artists that are up and coming. And it's funny because what he had to say about this whole situation was, Daniel, the CEO of Spotify, is basically saying, give us more content to put out, rather than looking at the artists that are releasing music and not getting any streams. So it's more about like, let's showcase some of those artists when you have a multitude, like a plethora of music to choose from, rather than asking artists that already have a platform to increase their output, because then they're going to just be shitting more music out. So it's almost like, dude, it's enough to ask of musicians to release music, especially in a time when they don't have anything to tour off of. So anyone with a major deal is going to be releasing music and not, they don't have, they usually release it with the expectation that they're going to tour off the album. So now that's, the timeline's stretched so far. It's like you may not even be able to tour off of an LP that you're releasing right now. So will the whole industry switch over to singles and EPs? Who knows? Will it affect dance music as much? I don't know. But I think that it was a topic worth kind of touching on and talking about.
Definitely.
Who do you consider to be a disruptive force in music right now?
Disruptive force in a good way?
Yeah, I mean, disruptive means, someone who's changing the game up that people are trying to emulate to some degree, if that makes sense?
Oh, 110% Joyride. I think
Yeah, he's great.
Joyride is a fucking monster. When he dropped that album, I said, I was like, if he's not recognized as like one of the greatest of all time, I just don't know how like he couldn't have that on his cards, because the guy is absolutely incredible.
Did you just hear something go, uh-huh?
Yeah, I did hear.
What the fuck was that?
Right, so you heard that as well. I didn't know if that was feedback or what was that.
What just happened right now? It's like I'm sorry, that was just, it freaked me the fuck out.
That was fucking crazy.
You talked about Joyride and someone was just like, uh-huh? Where did that come from?
The FBI is in there, isn't it? You know someone's behind the camera. Someone's watching us.
The FBI agent was just like, Joyride fucking rules. They just like...
he just chimed in and was like, yo, say it loud for the people in the back. It's like, yo.
Uh-huh. Where the fuck did that come from? Dude.
We're having a seance. Is there spirits in the room? Can you reveal yourself? Like, that was fucking crazy.
That just tripped me the fuck out. I don't, there's nowhere.
I'll let you know if I see someone pop up behind your drum set. Just in the back. Just someone goes, uh-huh.
There's nowhere that could have come from. I have my laptop right here and the sound is off. Like, what?
That was fun. It sounded like feedback. It sounded like it bounced back because I heard it through my speaker, but I thought it came from your headphones. Or like, that was fucking weird.
That was fucking scary.
Bizarre.
Whoa, dude. We're gonna
have to roll that back. We're gonna have to roll that back and have a little look. We'll figure out what that was.
If no one hears that and but you heard it too.
No, I heard it as well. I kept going because I was very confused. I was like, that was weird. It was like an echo.
And I was
sitting there thinking like, no, that was weird. I saw as well. I saw your eyes go. You were like, what the fuck was that?
I'm so confused, dude.
that was weird. Oh,
well, yeah.
Can't say your season 2 hasn't kicked off excitingly. Look with this. It's crazy.
With supernatural EVP right here. Whoa, that was so bizarre. I heard it like out of some speaker though. It wasn't like just in the headphones. It was like
it bounced back for me like that. It was just like feedback. It was like very lagged. Like
that's fucking so bizarre.
That was spooky.
Yeah, the Brave LP was fantastic.
Going back to it.
Yeah.
Joyride. I think Joyride is just, the album was absolutely insane. I could listen to that album back so many times over. Track for track, it's an absolute weapon. The guy himself is just, if you like listen to his story of like how he built that album and what he's been doing, and he's another guy. He's been putting in the work for years. And I just think he deserves everything he's done. He's deserved. I think so many people are trying to emulate that sound, like try and copy his sound a bit. I'm guilty as charged. I am very inspired by his music. It's why I've definitely taken a turn to more of a kind of 4/4 bass housey bass line kind of sound. I think there's so many guys in the game like who are just probably trying to get that sound similar to him, but he's got a very unique style. I think he's got a very, very nice, like, all of his tracks have a really nice rhythm. The way they're built, I just think he stands out so much. I think he's incredible.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely also a difference between being inspired and straight up emulating someone's sound. So, Joyride is awesome. He's definitely one of those guys it's when you listen to his music, it just grabs your ear. It's like it's so hooky and in a left field way, and like it's the perfect example of sound design that's unconventional and keeps you interested. And like his songwriting and the track composition, the way that everything's put together, I have to agree with you. He's definitely up there as one of the top tier producers of our time right now. So yeah, you've played clubs from London to Israel to China. What's your craziest tour story?
So, trying to think. I haven't toured as much as everything. I've been on like one really big tour that was last year. I was very thankful to kind of pull it off with like, no management. It was just me and my friend Jay, who's been helping us out. We just I was just like, right, we've got like 1 or 2 shows in the works. I was like, I was just like, I want to push for like more shows. I was like, I want to try and make this big. Ended up pretty much going for September through October. I ended up in that month doing like I think it was 9 shows or something. I think it was, where did we start? We done Israel, Malaysia, China, Hong Kong, 2 shows in London. Maybe there was one other. It was a crazy time, because for me it was the first kind of actual thing of tour life. It was like, right, on a plane, get in, show, like literally the show's on the night, next day, pack, straight in, next flight, next location. For me, that was crazy. That was like living the dream, and that was the first taste of it.
That is a world tour, though. And you self-booked it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. With the help of obviously like knowing a promoter in the UK, knowing a promoter who was trying to get the show out in Israel, and then knowing someone who was out in China. It was definitely kind of the thing of like, right, we're going to put this together, and I kind of set it out, and I was very happy with it. It was absolutely crazy. I think probably the craziest tour story, it's got to be when I was in one of the shows we did was in Mongolia, in China, one of the clubs there. The night before, one of my friends was playing, and we were there, and we had a few drinks, and I remember he was like, when you're going out onto stage, look out, because it's a low ceiling. Got it. Completely forgot that 2 hours later, when he was like, oh, let's go backstage and like peek our heads around, and we can like sit on the side of the stage and watch him. And I just completely didn't see it coming, and I've just clarted into it, and I've like split my head open like there to there.
Oh.
And basically, obviously I'd had a bit to drink, so when you're drunk, you're like alcohol, the blood thins out a little bit because of the alcohol, so it's bleeding quite badly. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I just put some ice on it, cracked on with the night, went home, woke up the next morning. Dude, my face was stuck to the pillow from where I definitely should have got stitches.
Oh.
And instead I just slept face down, and I went, oh my God. I woke up and was like, what the fuck? I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. Prior, I woke up and I didn't remember that happening the night before. And I went, what is that? So I've lifted it up, pulled it off the pillow, and I've gone, all right, that's bleeding, lovely.
Oh.
Washed it, and I'm like, right, that's horrible. And I've gone, how did I do that? I was like, that's bizarre. How did I do that? My show's that night. He's like, right, that's it. You ready to go? I was like, yeah, good to go. Going to walk on stage. Bam! Hit it again.
Oh my
and then I
God.
literally hit it again in the exact same spot. Reopened it. I hit myself so hard I fell backwards.
Oh!
I meant to play in about 5 minutes, and I remember sitting there. And he went, "Are you okay?" And I went, "That's what I did last night."
Oh.
I was like, "Yo," I was like, "No, I'm fine." I was like, "That's fine." Like, perfectly reopened it, the exact same spot, and I was just like, "Oh, that's crazy." I was like, "That's fair play." I remember literally sitting there laughing. I was like, "He was like, you're bleeding quite bad. You're meant to be on like now." I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." I literally just like wiped it and was like, "Oh, we're good to go." I remember I put my cap on and I tucked it low, and I tucked it underneath the cap. So I had my cap like right to the eyebrows, and I just tucked it underneath. I was like, "We're good to go." I was like, "I'll have a drink. I'll numb the pain. All crack on."
This was in China?
Yeah, this is in Mongolia. Yeah, that was.
Oh, dude.
Hilarious.
It would have been so punk rock to just fucking be bleeding profusely and like DJing and like ruin the CDJs with your.
That would have been metal as fuck, to be fair, but
with gore.
I remember I tucked it under the cap, and I was like, "We're good to go."
Yeah, dude. Still fucking pretty punk rock to do that. You pulled your shit together and just covered it with a cap. I'm sure the cap wasn't very appreciative of that.
Yeah, it was a white cap. I remember. I've still got that white cap as well. I remember after the show, I pulled my cap off and it just peeled off again, and I was like, "Oh Lord!" I was like, "That's not nice."
You heard it here first, fans of Duckworthsound. You can purchase the cap from him for $10,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out.
I might have to sell it at one point for a charity event, maybe.
Yeah, with
might
blood.
Still have the remains of a dried blood spot on the inside of the cap.
Some nasty motherfucker is gonna buy that and be like, "Yeah, blood." If you buy that shit and you look back on this podcast, man, you're a nasty motherfucker. Bought that fucking cap. Or just a diehard fan, dude. In that case, if you're just, I applaud you. That's awesome.
But yeah, I'd be impressed.
What's your favorite place to visit in the entire world?
Favorite place to visit in the entire world? Tokyo.
How many times have you been?
I've been twice. Just Japan in general, actually, I'd say. I've been twice to Tokyo. I've really wanted to visit the rest of the country. I'm just absolutely blown away by it. I think it's actually incredible. I would love to visit like more of the actual country, like the other cities, kind of the more like rural areas. I 100% would love to. I was meant to do a tour this year. I think the plans was like for April time, and of course that all fell through. I'm sure it's still in the cards later at a future date. But yeah, Tokyo. I think the culture. It's the first time I remember. The first time I went to Tokyo, it was the culture shock where I was like, oh wow, like this is incredible. Like I just think absolutely beautiful country. Yeah, just incredible.
I've heard much of that.
Anyone.
Yeah, and I think if for anyone that's, you know, been fucked up as far as their bookings go, you just have to think like, you know, it's gonna come back. Like once everything comes back, you know.
100%. Don't get me wrong. I was absolutely furious when everything started getting cancelled. I think it was when it got really bad over in Europe. Was like the end of March, start of April. I had my first headline show in Europe, in Germany, on April 4th. It got cancelled the week before. Oh, definitely punched multiple walls, angry, like, God damn it. But at the same time, you got to remember, it's like, it's not just you. Everyone's affected. It happens. Trust the process. Battle through this weird time. When things go back to normal, I'm sure the interest in you being booked will still happen. And that's
it'll be even better. Like, think about it.
It'll be so good. It'll be so good. Like, I can't wait. Like, everyone will be excited.
That's just positivity. We're being so optimistic right now. It's gonna be fucking good. It's gonna be great.
You watch when we just find out they're like, oh, there's no shows until 2025. There is no cure.
It's gonna be awesome.
Positive, guys. Positivity.
I'll be fucking 35 years old. I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do. I mean, we'll be hitting it hard. I'm ready for it.
Oh, dude, 100%.
I'm here for that, dude. For some, it's being interviewed on Hot Ones. For others, it's partying at Dan Bilzerian's house. What are some unconventional career goals for you, considering everything gets back to normal eventually?
Some unconventional career goals?
Yeah, if you have any.
I'll tell you what, the Hot Ones one is a good shout. I would love to go on Hot Ones because I am an absolute psychopath with spice. So
are you?
I would absolutely blitz it. I wouldn't even flinch. I might flinch, but I would enjoy that. I think it'd be sick. I think it'd be something like that maybe. I think it would be cool to say that, like, maybe if I was able to play in just some crazy country I never expected to, like maybe like to play somewhere in like South America or in like somewhere like Africa, and like one of these places. I think for me that would be like, oh, that would be crazy. That would be really somewhere I never expect to play. Like, that would be really dope.
Well, yeah, you keep on track doing what you're doing, and I have no doubt that will eventually happen for you, man.
Thank you, man.
So, Tiesto built a time machine and invites you to travel with him, but you can only go back in time and be guaranteed a return ticket to the present. You can't go forward. If you could go back in time to any era, which era would you travel to with Tiesto?
With Tiesto?
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go back to like the 90s.
With like, Tiesto.
I'd have to go back to I would go back to the 90s with Tiesto, but I would want Tiesto to come with me and we go back to like the 90s, like illegal rave era of the UK. Back when it was jungle drum and bass. I'd take him there. I'd love to see what he thought of it all. That'd be absolutely crazy.
I would go to the 1890s with Tiesto.
1890s.
Yeah, and
that's a way back.
We'd introduce them to rave music without CDJs or any means of making it. It would just be like rave music with tubas and a fucking bass drum.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be sick.
What you're doing.
Just
sick. Go in there. That'd be crazy.
Oh, dude, so dope. People wouldn't know what to think. We'd just literally blow people's minds with fucking rave music. And I mean, imagine how different our lives would be if the club scene existed in 1900. Well, I guess it did with like swing, and there was like, you know, jazz music. And it was just different.
Yeah, you had like the Roaring '30s and stuff like that. Like that was all the hype back then. Like everyone was partying and it was all crazy.
Wait,
is there a very different style? But
was there the Roaring '30s in the UK? Because it was the Roaring '20s here in the United States.
Maybe it was the Roaring. No, it was the Roaring '20s. I'm just talking shit. Yeah, it was the Roaring '20s, not the Roaring '30s.
Well, but I don't know. I don't know.
No. I'm agreeing with you. It's definitely the Roaring 20s, wasn't it? Because
It could have been a thing. Like,
I don't think maybe the 30s weren't so roaring with everything going on in the world. But...
I mean, yeah, because I think it was like, wasn't there like, didn't World War I happen or something? Maybe that was like before that. I don't know.
Well, I think World War One.
Don't shade me.
World War One was in the 10s, and then World War II was in the 30s. So the 20s were definitely the roaring time. I don't think it was roaring to be around in World War II.
No,
it definitely wasn't the vibe.
No, that was definitely not.
That
was like
that one would not be the vibe.
Probably the least ideal, one of the least ideal times to be alive.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I would not have liked to have been around back then. Definitely don't take Tiesto to that time. Whatever you do.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Well, maybe we could bring everyone together with rave music. That would have just ended.
You know what? You never know. Maybe like none of it would have happened if you just like showed guys this is called trance. They're like, what? Whoa.
Hey, listen, guys. I mean, we need to drop all of our differences right now because we have this thing called.
You drop all your differences right now. Tiesto will do a set.
I mean, fuck yeah. Who's not going to be down with that? So let me ask you, just to kind of wrap things up a little bit, what's on the horizon for Duckworthsound?
Enjoying the pandemic we're all doing. 100% just enjoying being locked in. Just, whenever things get back to normal, just full throttle, like just fully sending, doing everything I can. Right now, I'm just putting out so much new music. I'm actually doing something right now. I'm releasing a remix, a remix flip every single week for the next 6 weeks or 5 weeks now. I've released 2 right now. I've got 4 more coming up. So we're releasing music all the way through to the end of the year.
Is that just on SoundCloud?
Yeah, so the flips are just on SoundCloud. I have just had a remix for Shade last week go live. That's out on Spotify and everywhere. The links I think will still be in my bio when this comes out. Just heaps of new music, having fun. I go on Twitch every now and again and do a little live stream. Have a few drinks, play a few tunes. Love to see it, have a bit of fun with that. And other than that, I think I'm just gonna see where all this madness goes. See what else I can tick off on my 2020 bingo card of crazy shit that happens.
Perfect. So you mentioned you have some remixes on SoundCloud. You're on Twitch as well. Do you happen to have any plugs so the good people at home can find you on social media or wherever?
Indeed, you can. So basically on any social media, Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I'm not on TikTok because no way is that happening. But it's a Duckworthsound. 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 Nice and simple on everything.
Perfect. And I want to just say thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a true honor talking with you.
Thank you. I'm
a big fan.
It's been a class time. It's been a great laugh, man. It's been jokes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have entered the Computerverse, but now it's time to exit. Until our next episode, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can join us on all of our future interdimensional adventures. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Downlowd or on Twitter at Downlowd here. And as always, you can visit www.iamdownload.com for all things related to my music, comics, stories, and more. I truly hope that you enjoyed this adventure with us. Until next time, be well, stay safe, wash your hands, and if you're going out, be sure to cover your face. Goodbye for now.